do a lookup on multiple criteria. So in front of me, I've downloaded Netflix's most recent quarterly results, their regional information. And so what I'm going to do is pull in, different revenue numbers by region. There's different sections on here. So doing a normal lookup isn't going to work, really well in this case, because, to do a VLOOKUP, you don't want to have repeating values like, let's say, revenues, and you have these different categories. So it makes it a bit more challenging if you wanted to look up information and say, okay, I want to pull the revenue for each region. It'd be a bit of a tedious process if you try to do it maybe through a simple VLOOKUP. So I'm going to show you how we can do this using index and match and putting in both criteria. So the first thing I'm going to do is expand column A, because what I want to do is copy these regions down, because if I'm doing a lookup, I want to make sure that these values are repeating. And what I'm going to do is copy each one of these regions. Whoops. Just one of each. Paste it as values over here. And so now what I'm going to do is select my metric. Let's say I want to pull revenue and make sure it's spelled the same way. And so what I can do here is using index and match. So let's say I want to pull in the latest numbers for the period ending September 30th, 2021. So I can select, now in this case, one of the downsides of merge cells is it automatically is going to expand your range when you select it. So I'm going to manually enter column S. And then what I'm going to do next is use the match function that if you've used that index and match you're familiar with. Now the one wrinkle here is that I cannot just select United States, Canada and do that match function here, because the problem is, one, it's going to match multiple times and it's just going to grab the first one. Now sure, I could get rid of this first instance and the first one it's going to hit is the revenue, but that's not going to make it a really flexible formula, because let's say at a later date I want to pull in the average paying memberships, or I want to pull the percent changes, whatever the case may be. I want to be a bit more flexible than that. So what I can do is grab this value and then use the ampersand to also grab revenue. And now when I do my lookup, the lookup array I'm also going to do is select column A and use the ampersand again to use column B. And so now it's going to concatenate these two values as well. So it's going to say United States and revenue, United States, Canada, and paid net membership. It's going to concatenate those, and now it's going to make it work through my index and match function. Put value 0. My column is still going to be 1 because my index relates to this column here. So I can keep that as 1. You can make it a bit more versatile if you want to use the offset function, but I'm going to try to not overcomplicate it here. Hit enter, and now you'll see that for United States, Canada, revenue was 3257697, which is correct. So what I can do is freeze some of these values here. Freeze V, row 8, and then A, B. And then what I can do is copy this down, and now you'll notice now I've got Europe and Middle East 2.4, Latin America 915, Asia Pacific 834. So if I wanted to pull the value for the period ending June 30th, what I could do is simply just change the range. So I still have revenue here, but the main thing I'm going to do is change this column. Instead of being an S, it's going to be R. So instead of changing it, you can just actually just drag it. A really cool feature in Excel to make on-the-fly adjustments to your formulas. And so I copy this down, and so now I've got the prior period 3.2, 2.4 for Europe, 860 for Latin America, 799 for Asia Pacific. And so this makes it really convenient if you want to compare, because then what I could do is have the percent change, say take the current one divided by the previous minus 1, and then convert that into a percentage. And so I can easily now see the the percentage change from one period to the other without having to do a whole lot of maneuvering. So if I want to compare a different metric, let's say paid memberships at the end of a period, then paste that into here, and that's going to update. And here I'll just make it equal to that so it references the same thing. And now you can see now I've got, for the US paid memberships 74,024 versus 73,951, so it shows me that, and the other regions. So this makes it a lot more versatile and able to still be dynamic even though you're factoring in multiple criteria. The key to making this work is just having that ampersand in there to sort of lock those two values together. Even though that they're not side by side, you can still, as long as you're locking the cells, freezing the cells properly, you can maneuver headers, whether they're going across or going up and down. So that's how you can use a lookup on multiple criteria in here with without having to rearrange your spreadsheet too much. And you can also do this with some product in a similar way, but this is how you can do it using index and match.